Hello everybody and welcome to Elite Weather Forecasting. I'm meteorologist Mr. G with you on your Monday. It's about the noon hour, so it's about lunchtime for everybody. So I hope you guys are having a great start to your week and a good start to your work day and your school day if you are a student like myself. And we're going to be talking about that weather forecast today that we're going to be seeing across the country out there. Our city of the day is Tampa Bay, Florida, where it is beautiful and sunny right now. There are a few clouds in the area. Rain is to the north nearby, but it's not forecasted to affect the Tampa Bay area today or tomorrow. So that is the good news, as we do have some, some moisture down along the Gulf Coast, but that's going to be streaming just to the north of the Tampa Bay area. So sunny skies today. Those temperatures are in the upper 70s to near 80 degrees right now. So enjoy your beautiful day across the Tampa Bay, Florida area. So let's take a look at the weather forecast for the rest of the lower 48. Okay, so the forecast for the rest of the country is as followed as we take a look at our national satellite and radar combination map right now. You are going to see pretty dry weather across most of the country. If you take a look way up to the north there near the Canadian border, we're going to see some precipitation moving into the Dakotas right now, as we have an Alberta clipper moving across the high plains and the northern plains today. We're going to be seeing that light snow and maybe even some rain as well in some locations moving across that region. That is going to soon affect the Chicago area and parts of the Great Lakes as well. And in the Pacific Northwest, we have our atmospheric river that's still active right now, and that's going to be bringing rain into the cities of the Northwest, Seattle and Portland in particular, and snow in the Cascade Mountain Range. Down to the south here over Mexico and out across the Gulf into the Gulf states, into Florida, maybe the Gulf Coast regions of Mississippi, Alabama, and South Georgia. We have a tropical jet stream, and it has some tropical showers associated with that. So we could see some rain showers along the immediate Gulf Coast into North Florida, but not a whole lot of rain is expected. No severe weather expected across the country today. And in the Northeast there in New England, we have a departing storm system that dropped heavy snow over the Adirondacks over the weekend. That's going to be pulling out over Maine into Nova Scotia today. So we're going to start to see improving conditions across the Northeast and into New England, and then across the West Coast, with the exception of the heavy rain in the Pacific Northwest. Dry weather all the way down to Southern California with just some clouds in the area as high pressure. We have kind of a dirty ridge there that's allowing for clouds to travel over the top of that ridge of high pressure. So for the most part, nice weather across the country, with the exception of a few trouble spots. And we have that wintry precipitation and some rain across the Great Lakes and the Ohio Valley today. Departing storm in the Northeast. Dry weather across the Southeast, with the exception of a few showers along the immediate Gulf Coast. And we're going to see dry weather across the West today, with that wet weather in the Pacific Northwest with our atmospheric river. But for the most part, 80% of the country is seeing a nice day today. The temperatures aren't too extreme. It's not too cold, not too hot anywhere. 60s in the south, maybe some 70s and 80s way down there in Florida. So if you're looking for some heat, that's where you want to go, is South Florida, maybe down to Miami, where we're going to see the temperatures in the mid 80s today. So again, not too bad across the country. So in the Pacific Northwest, let's take a closer look at that moisture coming with the atmospheric river, as we have a storm system that's bringing heavy rain to the Puget Sound area, and we're seeing those showers into Seattle and down to Portland as well. Showery weather here along the Columbia River in the Portland area, but much more heavier and more steady rain in the far northwest there for Seattle and the Puget Sound. So you guys are going to see heavier rainfall amounts today, but much lighter down to the south over the Portland area and Eugene. So Bedford, if you're down in Oregon, you're going to see much lighter precipitation amounts. And a few showers might make it over into eastern Oregon and eastern Washington. So cities like Spokane and Yakima, you might pick up some showers as well. Some snowflakes is going to be possible over Idaho and western Montana and Wyoming. But not a lot of snow, not a high accumulation, just very light stuff with that area. But that heavy rain will continue over the western Washington, western and the Cascades. And we're going to see that heavy snow continue for the western side of the Cascade Mountain Range. And here we are as we take a look at our anticipated rainfall still to come in the Pacific Northwest. And we're going to see that heavy rain here along the Oregon and Washington coastline, where we could see up to 5 to 8 inches of rain in some locations. A few spots might pick up in excess of 12 inches of rain. So a lot of rain through your Thursday. This is Monday. This is through Thursday. So this rain in the Northwest is going to be very persistent, as we have that Pineapple Express, also known as the atmospheric river, and that plume of moisture extends all the way out to the south central Pacific. That moisture is, that train of moisture is plowing right into the Pacific Northwest. So again, that rain is going to be very persistent, and that snow in the Cascade Mountain Range will be there as well. So we're going to see tricky conditions going over I-90, I-84. So over the mountains, if you want to get through to the eastern parts of Oregon and Washington, we're going to be dealing with getting over the Cascade Mountains. So it's going to be a very tricky situation with more rain and more snow for those regions. All right, so here is our flood alert. That heavy rain is leading to some flooding problems across the Pacific Northwest as well. And we're going to see that rain here through Oregon and into Washington. And we're going to see that flood watch in place, as we've been seeing that rain through the weekend. And we're going to see that rain through Thursday, even though this map only says to Wednesday, this is going to go through Thursday. We're going to see that rain off and on. And here is with our flash flood threat. We have a likelihood of flash flooding through Wednesday and into Thursday, where we're going to see more of that heavy rain continuing for you folks in the Pacific Northwest. Let's shift our attention to the eastern side of the country, where we have that big storm system that dropped a lot of snow over the interior of New England this weekend, but it's still lingering now over Nova Scotia, and we're going to see some snow still over Maine and through parts of Quebec and Ontario, Canada. So Montreal, Toronto, Quebec City, you guys are going to still see some wintry precipitation today. For the most part, it's drying out for upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Jersey, Pennsylvania as well. You guys are awaiting the arrival of an Alberta Clipper. We're still going to see a few scattered snow showers there across parts of upstate New York, but for the most part, conditions are slowly improving, as we're going to see a little bit of a lake effect snow here for places like Syracuse and Buffalo. In particular, we're going to see that lake effect as we have westerly winds blowing across Ontario, the Lake Ontario and Lake Erie right now. So be prepared for more lake effect snow today in that region. Here's your winter weather alerts. We do have our winter storm warning here for much of Maine and eastern Vermont. There we see that New Hampshire, that's New Hampshire, but we do see that lake effect, not lake effect, but that winter storm warning, and we have a winter weather advisory in the pink there. So still more wintry weather here in parts of New England there in Maine, where we can still pick up 6 to 10 more additional inches of snow before that storm system pulls itself out into the North Atlantic over the next couple of days. Here is our snow still to come, and we're going to still see that potential there for a few inches for the most part, 1 to 3 inches of snow, but some locations in the higher elevations can pick up that 6 to 12 inches. So we still can see some isolated spots picking up heavy snow amounts, but we still have a few inches to go before everything is said and done across New England. And we have an Alberta Clipper to talk about through the Midwest. So we're going to see the Alberta Clipper drop down out of Canada and traverse its way across the U.S. border with Canada, and eventually going to make its way over towards the upper Midwest through Minnesota. It's moisture starved, so we're not going to see a whole lot of precipitation for Minneapolis and St. Paul. Maybe some rain showers later today in the afternoon, 4 o'clock today. We might see some rain showers here. It's going to be just warm enough for rain. I don't anticipate any snow fall for the Twin Cities, but however, this thing will make its way towards the Chicagoland area tomorrow. So tomorrow morning, about 4 o'clock in the morning, we're going to see that storm system moving towards the upper Midwest there in the Great Lakes. So Lake Michigan, if you're Chicago and Milwaukee, you might see a little bit of snow and some rain as well here in northwestern Indiana. So Gary, places like Gary, Indiana, South Bend, Mishawaka, and if you're in that region, you might deal with some rain and snow as well with that storm system, that Alberta Clipper that's moving across the southern Great Lakes and the Ohio Valley. So we're going to see that snow again tomorrow morning, about 3-4 a.m. start to move into the Chicago area, and we're going to see that snow. It's going to be very light. We're going to pick up about an inch at the most, but we might see a little bit of rain, maybe 1/10 of an inch of rain, and maybe a trace of freezing rain. So a little bit of freezing rain or rain and snow mixed, and then finishing up with a dust touch of light snow after these very fast moving Alberta Clipper. And then that system is going to move over into Ohio as well. We're going to see it move into Indiana and Ohio, and that's going to spread some snow for Indianapolis and the South Bend area as we move through the rest of the day. So about mid-morning, we're going to see that storm system affect Indiana and western Ohio with that wintry precipitation. And then on Monday, so Monday through Wednesday, we're going to see that storm move from Minnesota to Pennsylvania and upstate New York. So we're going to see that very light snow. We're looking at generally less than an inch. Some might pick up as much as 2 inches. So it's not a big deal. It's going to make things a little bit slippery on the roadways, but you can just brush this off. It's very low moisture content, as these typically have very little moisture to work with. So we're going to have very light, fluffy snow, more like a dust of snow that you can just brush off with a broom. You won't need to shovel any of this very light stuff that's going to fall as we head through this week. And we're going to see that again, Chicago, temperatures in the mid-30s for the most part, with those scattered snow showers and some wind as well. These usually pack a little bit of wind, so winds to about 20 to 30 miles an hour is going to be possible. So that's going to be a little bit of blowing snow to contend with. Again, check out the pinks involved in there. So that also indicates a rain and snow mix. So we have some mixed precipitations, as those temperatures will be generally in the mid-30s with this storm system, okay? And we're going to see this storm really socking into Chicago later in the day. So about 2 o'clock on your Tuesday, we're going to see that rain and snow mix again in the Chicago area. And we're going to see that over in northern Indiana as well, and western Ohio, all the way over in that region. We're going to see that light snow and some light rain as well further to the south. So we're going to see those temperatures barely hanging on to being cold enough to snow. So again, in Ohio and western Pennsylvania, we're going to see that potential there. We're going to start off the day tomorrow with just cloudy skies. A dry start to your day at 8 a.m. But however, when you get to the afternoon, 2 o'clock, before you start your commute home, that rain and snow is going to move in. We're going to start off as light rain. It's going to become a rain and snow mix, and it's going to finish up with light snow. Again, less than an inch of snow is going to be possible as this storm system heads over the eastern Ohio Valley and into Pennsylvania. So here's the temperature. Your snow, okay, we got to talk about your snow departure from average because of, I think the maps is out of order here. Okay, we must be almost done. We're almost done. All right, because I know I had to switch up these maps. But, so, this is an El Nino this year. And a really strong El Nino at that. And what El Nino is a warmer than average water temperatures over the eastern Pacific, like off of Ecuador and Peru. Those water temperatures are about 4 to 5 degrees above average right now. So we're looking at a super El Nino. And what that typically does is it makes things very wet across the southern U.S. and the West Coast, particularly California, and it makes things usually drier in the northern to the Pacific Northwest, the northern plains, the Great Lakes, and the Northeast and New England. It's typically drier when there's an El Nino. But the one caveat to El Nino in the Northeast is that we tend to see more nor'easters. So it's a double-edged sword. It's kind of iffy if it's going to be drier in the Northeast, depending on nor'easters that form across the south and move into the Atlantic and up the northeastern coast. And we're going to see the potential for a lot of snow in the Northeast and New England with these El Ninos. But what's really significant for me is I live in the Minneapolis area. I live in St. Paul. We are currently 4 inches below our snowfall for this time of the year. We're about 4 inches behind schedule. So, and I think that's going to increase as we move through the winter. We are forecasted to be about 74% below average for our seasonal snowfall. We typically average about 52 inches of snow, so I'm expecting us to possibly hit maybe snowfall in the 20s this year. So again, at least a good 50% less than what we typically see, and warmer than average. I was looking at the long range forecast models, the GFS and the Euro, and as far as I can see out into early January. Now, early January is typically the coldest days of the year, but the long range models are forecasting temperatures here in the Minneapolis area to be in the 30s on New Year's. New Year's is often one of the coldest days of the year. We are typically 0 or below. We are forecasted at this time to be 30 or more degrees. So again, at El Nino, we're going to see that change with a warmer than average winter. Doesn't mean that we won't see cold. It doesn't mean that we won't see days where the temperatures are below 0 or we're in the negatives. We will certainly see that at some point, but overall, the general pattern will be trending for warmer than average and warmer than average temperatures, but below average precipitation. So less snow, less rain, but more in the way of warmer temperatures and drier weather. Now, another thing that's interesting with El Nino to me is that if you are here, Texas, Arkansas, Missouri, Southern Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, we want to also talk about West Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. If you are in northern Mississippi, northern Alabama, northern Louisiana, and Texas, I think I already mentioned Texas, watch out for lots of situations where we're going to see freezing rain. Because many of the storms, a good percentage of the storms that come off of the Pacific are going to be going a southerly track. So those storms will come on shore in central and maybe even southern California, and they will track across the southern deserts, across Arizona, New Mexico, and they're going to track across Texas and Oklahoma and through this region here. And that's going to make for freezing rain. So we're going to see a lot of issues where I think we're going to see a lot of freezing rain through parts of what I call the freezing rain zone, which is my least favorite thing to deal with is freezing rain, because if we get a lot, even a little bit, it's really slippery. a lot of personal injuries, slip and falls, and things like that, and traffic collisions because you can't stop or anything like that. So, it could cause problems with trees, where the weight of the ice on the trees can cause the trees to collapse, could cause power outages, and cause damage to property and vehicles outside and things like that. So that pattern I don't like to see when we typically have El Niños, was going to be that stripe of freezing rain across the Mid-South, the Southern Plains, and into the Appalachian Mountain Range, and those regions are where we're going to see that potential for a lot of freezing rain this year with those storms, because they're going to be coming more from the south than tracking across the northern part of the country. So again, just a little bit of information about El Nino, and thinking of temperatures, that temperature outlook for this month of December, we're going to trend higher and warmer than average across the east. So the upper Midwest, so Minnesota and Wisconsin, the Dakotas, all the way down to the Gulf Coast, will we see temperatures warmer than average, well above average. So very likely warmer than average. So that's going to mean a pretty good deal above average, where when we are typically in the 20s in late December, we could see highs near 40. So again, a good percentage of us will be above average. And in the East Coast, from the south into the northeast, will be warmer than a bit warmer, but very likely warmer than average, but very likely warmer over the central U.S. and the northwest as well will be warmer. It will trend warmer than average this month. We will be about average over the southwest for this time of the year, so that is going to be what they're going to do with that. Precipitation wise, it's going to be wetter across the south. Very likely wetter along the west coast and across the south and the southeast. So wetter than average, because most of the storms are going to track along the southern jet stream. The subtropical jet stream will be more active than the polar jet stream. So less influence of the polar vortex, but more tropical, more energy from the southern jet stream will bring more of that rain across the southeast, which is going to develop more nor'easters, because the storms will track across the southern U.S. and when they hit the southern U.S., the Gulf Stream current and the Bermuda High that sits off the coast of the Atlantic, off the eastern coast, will make the storms turn toward the northeast. And that's why we typically get to see those nor'easters. So when these wet storms make that left turn to go up the northeastern seaboard, they will become nor'easters. So we're going to see more nor'easters because of where those storms coming from, and high pressure over the Great Lakes. So that's going to keep those storms kind of focused on that northeasterly trajectory along the east coast. So again, Boston, going to see those that heavy snow, heavy rain. A lot of those nor'easters bring a lot of warm air. So even though we're seeing the storms, they're warmer, so it's rain along the coast. But if you go inland to, say, the inland of Maine, inland, the mountains into Vermont, New Hampshire, Adirondacks, upstate New York, where it's going to be cold enough, we're going to see a lot of snow. So the snow will be interior northeast, but along the coast, New York, Boston, Connecticut, the big cities will see rain. So that's how that works with El Nino. So again, that was your weather forecast, as we can have a very interesting winter this year. Very different, very interesting. Gonna be a lot to track and keep you guys apprised too. So anyway, that'll do it for me today. Leave your likes, comments, and subscribe to the channel. My views have been awful lately. Sometimes I wonder if I just said forget it, but you know, this is me getting that experience and practice in. So we're gonna work with it no matter what the views. If nobody watches, Hey, I don't get better unless I keep doing this. But please get somebody to watch the videos, leave your likes, comments, and subscribe to the channel. And let me know what you're dealing with in your weather today across your area and neck of the woods, okay? All right, see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye-bye.